All right, welcome everybody to another game two. We have on the blue TheMista, who's playing the Abbasid Dynasty. Is going to be going up against the player in the red corner, iaguz. So iaguz, StarCraft 2 Pro, lost the last match as Russ. He's going to be wanting to get a win here to continue his run into Genesis proper. Remember that this is the first best of three. There is another best of three going on right after this one, whoever the winner of this one is. So that is going to be a pretty important problem. So this map is Hill and Dale. So both players spawn on a very high up position, and then they have a sort of ramp down, very similar to a StarCraft 2 map in that way. They have a ramp down to a plethora of resources, and interestingly enough, due to how the spawn worked, it looks to be that all of the wood is on the side of TheMista, and all of the gold and stone is on the side of iaguz. So this is going to be very interesting. I don't know exactly which player is going to be taking advantage of that the most, but we'll see what happens. So once again, TheMista is having to work through all of the Gaia in the map to be able to kill it, be it deer, or to use it for aggro draw like this wolf, and just driving it back to the TC. That way it is killed by the arrows of the TC. And you can see on the other side here, iaguz is just trying to find all of the locations where there is deer. So there is deer there and there. I already got those. And there is deer here and here. So this one is pretty safe, and I think TheMista wants to keep it that way. But this one might be found by iaguz in a moment. We'll have to see if he does see it. He'll be able to kill it, and that is going to be a somewhat big blow for TheMista. And here we go. This is going to be a little bit of a big blow because it means that that deer is going to go and fall on the side of iaguz and give him a little bit of a monetary bonus. You can see that already he is past that first level, likely to go into that second level, and again at the 2 minute and something mark is able to put up the gate, the Moscow gates. The House of Wisdom is also going up. Pretty good landmark overall. Of course, in order to age up, you have to unlock and research one of the wings. So the first wing that TheMista is going for is the economic wing. This is gonna give him this side of the upgrade. So fresh food stuff is a pretty good one because it means that you can get villagers at effectively half price. Then you have agriculture, which improves the villagers' gathering rate from food and farms specifically by 15%. And then the villagers drop off 8% more resources. All of these upgrades are really good. It's going to be interesting to see which one he goes for. I'm pretty sure that he's going to go for fresh food stuff because that is the biggest benefit here. iaguz, this is actually really interesting. TheMista is, I don't know if accidentally or just as a slip of the mind, he's letting it kill all of these things, and that is not ideal. That is going to mean that right now the Rust player is going to be at 290, could have been at 3 something, 300, and only needed 200 more to go ahead and move forward to the last level here. Trying to get the aggro from the wolf, probably not going to be able to. And yeah, game 2 now, finishing the golden gate for the side of iaguz. Economic wing is going to be finished in a little bit more time, and we're going to have to see what each player decides to do after that. Obviously, the economic wing is going to give TheMista the best opportunity to boom out and actually expand from it, but that is not necessarily what he could do. It's going to depend a lot on what the Rus player allows him to do, because the Rus is going to be putting out those early knights, and that is going to be difficult for TheMista to deal with, unless he wants to go on something like one barracks, one stable, or maybe one barracks, one archery range, and that could be the thing that sustains him. But right now, the important part is that both players are in the feudal age. Early knights are starting to come out. They're going to be looking to also kill the boars. If you have 2 or 3 knights, you are able to kill a boar pretty consistently. So getting those, because there are 2 boars on the map, so you have a boar here and a boar here, then you can get 150 of your required bounties through that way, and you only need to make up like 50 more bounty, which you can do with killing all of these sheep. For example, all of these sheep are worth 5, so that is just about all that you need to be able to go up into the next one. Getting now a town center on the berries makes a lot of sense. All of these berries needs to be safe from any sort of aggression, and thanks to fresh food stuff, all of the villagers that are going to be produced here are going to be half off. I would have waited if I was TheMista. I would have maybe liked to wait a little bit before queuing them up, just so that they could get the benefit of that 25% off, because otherwise they don't. You don't get to regain that bonus. Barracks going down as well. That is going to be the thing that puts out spearmen to make sure those early horsemen, early knights raids are put in check and don't actually hurt the economy of TheMista. And you gotta think at this moment that TheMista must be feeling okay, maybe not entirely happy with his position. He has to play defensively. He can't just be aggressive, not like last game. But the Ross player also has a pretty big task on his hand. He's still away from that 500 score that would give him the best bounty possible. He is getting far more food now, but he doesn't have a particularly good wood line here. And you can see that all of these players have to maintain their distance. Scores are pretty similar. It is a little bit of a lull in the fight, as both players are simply achieving their own objectives. TheMista building up his economy, and iaguz just trying to get all of the bounties possible with those early knights and scouts to try and get an economic edge over the Abbasid player. Abbasid, of course, is going to have an easier time with fresh foodstuffs to maintain that villager count. So if we see the villagers right now, we're looking at 33 for iaguz and 35 for TheMista. Expect this number to be way different in a little while, because fresh foodstuff makes a ton of a difference when it comes to that villager production, because both players are trying to do villager production from double TC, but TheMista has the benefit of his costing half as much. And now you can see an R2 range being added. This is another benefit of fresh foodstuff. You can use more of your food resource into the production of units. And of course, getting archers and eventually getting camel archers is a really good goal for the Abbasid player. It basically means that you can debuff the opponent's cavalry and buff your own infantry to be able to deal with that cavalry. So you can see the spears here going for a little bit of a combat, but then having to pull out because the spearmen are just too good. The Abbasid players also have access to phalanx, which increases the range of spearmen by 100%. This means that you can have 2 lines of spearmen, and the line behind the other spearman is going to be able to hit the opponent. So this is particularly good when you're going up against a mass of horse units, and you have a mass of spearman units. You can just go ahead and destroy them that way. The spearman moving out now. And you can see this is something that TheMista does that is very, very smart. He has a scout here. He's going to be able to see anything that moves on this side of his map. He might get scouted here, and he preemptively moves it away, but that is another good thing about this hidden forest, is that you can have a scout hidden there, and it's going to give you all the information that you need about your opponent. You can see now if any reinforcement were here, TheMista would have known about it and would have been able to just not engage with those spearmen. But because he knows that he's pretty much free at the moment, he can engage and attack. And another early knight is going to go down. That is 2 early knights lost for iaguz. That is not going to feel good. And going up next is going to be the culture wing. Culture wing, of course, gives you preservation of knowledge. Beautiful technology. It makes it better and better over time because it reduces the technology cost of all your technologies by 30%. It also gives you medical centers, which gives you your heal 2 every 1 second. Pretty good, massive heal. And faith, which is basically how Age of Empires 2 monks work. The Abbasid have access to that technology. The most common thing to pick up from the culture wing is, of course, that preservation of knowledge, because it makes all technologies cheaper, and it effectively means that you can have the upgrade advantage from the moment that you age up, because all of those ages are pretty cheap. So iaguz advanced to the next age using the Abbey of the Trinity. This is a monastery that can produce warrior monks. Warrior monks are very useful because they can take the relic and move around in horseback, giving them greater speed. Taking those sacred sites is also an option that they have available to them. But the main thing that they are able to do is maintain themselves in the fight and continue to be part of combat, essentially. Now triple archery range going down for iaguz. He's going to be wanting to produce more and more horse archers. So these horse archers will rival the camel archers from TheMista. So this is going to be a very mobile fight, at least for a little while, as both players mass up units and then fight them out. And you can see right here the upgrades. We have more damage upgrades for the range units, so all of these horse archers are going to be getting a bonus. These do not act like horse archers for Mongols and Mangudai. They need to stop in order to fire. And you can see this is one of the things that the Abbasid also do really well, which is to create siege units out in the field. And you can see a couple of Springles go up. The main reason for that is that Springles are really good single damage units, so they can potentially hit one of these horse archers and just get a kill like almost immediately. You can see that 2 hits absolutely destroys an early knight. It can do the same to a horse archer. So now the knights have been completed for iaguz, so those knights are going to be a little bit more tanky, but it won't matter much when a Springle fires right here. So there is that knight down, and iaguz has to be careful. These units are going to consistently be moving forward and forward and forward, and I think TheMista knows exactly what he wants to do here. Just slowly push forward with the Springles, which are going to threaten all of these horse archers. And whenever that is not enough, he has archers and spearmen to deter any royal knights. Well, not royal knights, any knights from coming in. Pretty smart by iaguz, getting men-at-arms out here. With the 3rd age, he has those available to him. Like, he can start pulling them out. It is not as great because the Springle can kill them, and a sufficiently big, massive Springle is going to be able to kill. But at the moment, TheMista is feeling pretty good about it. 1 sacred site capture by a warrior monk, but right now TheMista is just sieging down that town center, and you can see TheMista moving a couple of units forward. We can see here he hasn't taken preservation of knowledge yet. Has a couple of economic upgrades. Does he have wheelbarrow? He doesn't have wheelbarrow, but kind of working on it. Getting arrow range armor, as well as ranged attack a little while ago. I can see now a ram getting constructed. That is going to go straight into the TC to try and destroy the TC as quickly as possible. And more Springles just pushing forward, dealing more damage. If that ram can eventually destroy these ranges, that will be a pretty big attack by TheMista. It will mean a pretty secure destruction of that lower level. And you can see that TheMista doesn't care too much. He's just expanding back at home. He's getting now some other upgrade. Yeah, he's getting more range to upgrade. He knows that his opponent is going to want to go with a lot of ranged attacks to be able to take out all of this. There is also the Siege Workshop here, which should be constructing things like Springles and Mangonels to try and destroy this advancement. But I mean, that is a lot of Springles that are just pushing forward and dealing damage. Men at Arms now, then moving forward, going for the attack here. Down the hill. They're going to be trying to fight those spearmen, and the spearmen, although they are good and they're veteran, it looks like the men at arms are going to be able to just try their best, but not enough. The spearmen do it. They push back. The archers also push back. And this is a pretty scary scene if you are EGCGENESIS. You already lost game 1. You could potentially lose game 2. And you lose game 2. That is EGCGENESIS out of the tournament. TheMista, I think most people would have said, would move on to the decider match. Is going to be moving to the decider match. That is a 2-0 victory for the side of TheMista.